Have you ever received news so devastating that it felt like your entire world was crumbling? Imagine this: you've just given birth to your first child. You're cradling your newborn in your arms, sleep-deprived but blissfully happy when your phone buzzes. It's an email from your boss. You've been fired while on maternity leave. Illegal. Absolutely devastating. Beyond words. But what if I told you that this moment of despair would lead to the most satisfying revenge story you've ever heard? Stay with me to discover how I turned the worst moment of my professional life into a triumph that changed everything. Welcome back to Dismissal Diaries, where we share real stories of workplace injustice and the sometimes incredible ways people fought back. If you're new here, we expose the dark side of corporate culture while celebrating those who refuse to be victims. Before I dive into today's unbelievable story, hit that subscribe button to join our community of workplace warriors. Trust me, after hearing what happened next, you'll want to stick around for more stories like this one. The day I was fired started like any other day in my new motherhood journey. My daughter Emma was just 6 weeks old, and we were still figuring out our rhythm together. The sleepless nights were brutal, but looking into her eyes made everything worth it. I'd been with Meridian Marketing for 5 years, climbing from junior copywriter to creative director. I'd given everything to that company: late nights, weekends, brilliant campaigns that won us industry awards. And I'd carefully planned my pregnancy around our major client cycles, even working up until the day before my induction. My maternity leave was supposed to be 12 weeks, barely enough, but that was what the company offered. I'd organized everything meticulously before leaving, creating detailed transition documents and training my temporary replacement. My boss, Richard, had assured me everything would be waiting when I returned. "Just focus on your baby," he'd said. "We've got everything covered here." So when I saw his name in my inbox that Tuesday morning, I thought perhaps he was checking in or sharing some company news. Instead, what I read left me physically sick. "Due to ongoing restructuring and performance concerns, we're terminating your position effective immediately. Please return all company property within 5 business days." Performance concerns. I'd received nothing but stellar reviews throughout my time there. My last evaluation, just 2 months before my leave, had praised my exceptional leadership and invaluable creative direction. The restructuring excuse was equally puzzling. The company had just landed 2 major clients, which I knew because I'd led both pitches. I tried calling Richard immediately. No answer. I emailed HR. No response. I reached out to colleagues who seemed uncomfortable and evasive. One finally admitted in a hushed phone call that my position had already been filled by someone else: Tom Reynolds, Richard's former college roommate who had joined the company just 3 months earlier. The betrayal cut deep. But as I sat there, my sleeping daughter in my arms, something beyond grief began to build inside me. Anger, yes, but also determination. This wasn't just about me anymore. It was about my daughter, about what I would teach her about standing up for herself. It was about every other parent who might face the same illegal discrimination. Because make no mistake, what they did was illegal. The Family and Medical Leave Act protects workers on maternity leave, and numerous state laws provide additional protections. I knew this because I'd always been thorough in understanding my rights. What I didn't know yet was how widespread the problem was, according to data I would later discover. Nearly 1 in 5 mothers faces workplace discrimination during pregnancy or after childbirth. That night, after putting Emma to bed, I began researching employment attorneys. I found Miranda Chen, who specialized in pregnancy discrimination cases. When I called her office the next morning, I expected to leave a message. Instead, she picked up herself. "I have a gap in my schedule," she explained. "Tell me what happened." I poured everything out, my voice breaking several times. When I finished, there was a pause. "They really didn't even try to hide it, did they?" she said. "This is textbook discrimination, and we're going to fight it." Her confidence was exactly what I needed. That afternoon, while Emma napped, I dug through my home office, gathering every performance review, every email of praise, every achievement during my time at Meridian. I found the company handbook with its FMLA policies. I recovered emails from Richard discussing my leave and return. I even found a company newsletter from just 3 weeks prior that highlighted my contributions and mentioned looking forward to my return. Miranda was impressed with my documentation. "Most clients don't have half of this," she said during our first official meeting. "They've made a serious mistake, and they've made it with someone who knows how to keep receipts." We sent a demand letter first, outlining the legal violations and requesting reinstatement, back pay, and damages. The response came from Meridian's legal team, dismissing our claims and suggesting my position had been eliminated due to economic necessities. "They're hoping you'll get scared and settle for a small amount," Miranda explained. "Happens all the time. Companies bank on new mothers being too exhausted and stressed to fight. They had misjudged me severely." We filed the lawsuit the following week. What followed was 8 months of legal maneuvering, depositions, and discovery. It was exhausting, especially while caring for an infant. There were days I questioned whether the fight was worth it. My savings were dwindling, and the stress was affecting my sleep even more than new motherhood alone. But then something unexpected happened. Former colleagues began reaching out, first one, then another, then several more. They had witnessed what happened, they had documentation that contradicted the company's claims, and they were willing to testify. Richard had apparently told several people that he couldn't have someone with divided priorities in such a crucial position. Another executive had questioned whether new mothers could really commit to the demands of leadership roles. 3 women who had left the company in previous years revealed they'd experienced similar treatment after pregnancy, not outright firing, but systematic sidelining that eventually pushed them out. None had fought back. "I wish I'd had your courage," one told me. The company's facade began to crack during discovery. Email exchanges between Richard and the CEO revealed their strategy to transition out employees with family distractions. Financial records showed no evidence of the economic distress they'd claimed necessitated restructuring. In fact, the company had posted record profits the previous quarter. Most damning was a performance improvement plan for me that had been backdated and inserted into my personnel file, a plan I'd never seen, addressing issues that had never been raised. The HR director, when confronted with this during her deposition, broke down and admitted the document had been created after my termination. As evidence mounted against them, Meridian's attorneys approached us with a settlement offer, 6 months' salary and a non-disclosure agreement. Miranda and I declined. They came back with a year's salary. We declined again. "They're getting nervous," Miranda observed. "They know how this looks." Meanwhile, I wasn't just fighting the legal battle. I was rebuilding my life. Using my industry connections, I began freelancing for some of Meridian's competitors. Word had spread about my situation, and several companies were eager to work with someone of my experience, particularly when they learned how I'd been treated. One client, Jasper Media, was especially supportive. Their CEO, Alicia Mendez, had faced pregnancy discrimination early in her career and had built her company with family-friendly policies as a cornerstone. She offered me a position as a consulting creative director with flexible hours and the option to work remotely. "The talent pool is filled with brilliant women pushed out of traditional agencies," Alicia told me. "Their loss is our gain." The arrangement with Jasper Media gave me both income and purpose beyond my legal fight. Emma was thriving, and I was proving to myself that my career wasn't over, it was evolving. 10 months after my termination, with the trial date approaching, Meridian made one final settlement offer, 2 years' salary, benefits, and a public apology. No non-disclosure agreement. Miranda thought we should accept this as an excellent offer. She said, "Better than most clients see, and without the NDA you can tell your story." But something still didn't feel right. Throughout this process, I'd connected with dozens of women who'd faced similar discrimination. Many had settled quietly, unable to bear the financial and emotional burden of a prolonged fight. The system was designed to wear victims down, to make them grateful for whatever crumbs were offered. That night, as I was reviewing the settlement papers, a news notification popped up on my phone. Meridian's parent company was restructuring, and as part of that process, they were selling several properties including the downtown building that housed Meridian's offices. I stared at my phone for a long moment as an idea took shape. It was audacious, perhaps impossible, but I couldn't shake it. The next morning, instead of calling Miranda to accept the settlement, I called my bank. I'd been saving aggressively since college, living below my means even as my salary increased. I'd been planning to use that money for a house someday. Instead, I asked about commercial real estate loans. Then I called my parents, who had a substantial retirement fund. Then my aunt, who had inherited money from my grandparents. Then Alicia at Jasper Media, who was intrigued by my vision. Within 2 weeks, I had assembled a group of investors, mostly women, many of whom had their own stories of workplace discrimination. We formed an LLC and submitted a bid for the building. It was lower than market value, but we included a clause that would drop our pending lawsuit as part of the deal. To our surprise and the parent company's relief, I suspect they accepted. Their legal department surely calculated the potential costs of a public trial and the resulting publicity. Selling to us at a slight discount while resolving the lawsuit must have seemed like good business. 6 months later, I stood in the lobby of what was now the Phoenix building named for rising from the ashes, holding Emma on my hip. We'd renovated the space and were now leasing to a diverse group of tenants, primarily women-owned businesses, with an entire floor dedicated to a co-working space for mothers, complete with childcare facilities. Meridian Marketing was gone, having relocated to a less prestigious address across town. Richard had been quietly let go during the transition, his reputation tarnished by depositions that had become public record. The real victory, though, wasn't in revenge. It was in transformation. What began as a personal fight for justice had evolved into something larger: physical space where the next generation of businesswomen could thrive without choosing between career and family. The day we opened the building's new childcare center, a young woman approached me. She was pregnant and had just been passed over for promotion at her accounting firm. "I read about your story," she said. "It gave me the courage to file a complaint instead of just quitting. Thank you for fighting." That moment justified everything: the stress, the financial risk, the sleepless nights spent strategizing instead of sleeping. One woman's courage can become another's permission to stand up for herself. My journey wasn't unique in its beginning. Pregnancy discrimination remains depressingly common. According to the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, thousands of pregnancy discrimination charges are filed annually, and experts believe many more cases go unreported. What made my story different was the ending: not just personal vindication, but systemic change within my reach. The Phoenix building has become a case study in workplace innovation. Our tenant companies report higher productivity, lower turnover, and stronger team cohesion. The childcare center has a waiting list. We've hosted workshops on workplace rights, entrepreneurship for mothers, and investment strategies for women. Journalists have covered our story, bringing attention to both pregnancy discrimination and potential solutions. Legislative staffers have visited, gathering information for family leave policy reforms. What began as one woman's fight has grown into a movement. I still have the termination email from Richard. I've framed it and hung it in my office as a reminder of how quickly life can change, sometimes for the worse, but sometimes in ways that open doors you never imagined. Emma is 3 now. She toddles around the building like she owns the place, which, technically, she partly does as a beneficiary of my trust. The employees all know her, greeting her with high fives and funny faces. Sometimes I bring her to meetings, where she colors quietly or plays with special toys we keep in the conference rooms. When people ask if I regret what happened, I tell them this: I regret that workplace discrimination exists. I regret that so many women face impossible choices. I regret that it takes extreme measures to create change. But I don't regret standing up for myself. I don't regret showing my daughter what it means to fight for justice. And I certainly don't regret turning a moment of despair into a platform for transformation. Recently, I received a LinkedIn message from Tom Reynolds, the man who replaced me at Meridian. He's been job hunting for months since the company's decline following the scandal. He asked if I had any positions available. I did, actually. Our marketing team needed experienced leadership. We had an interview, discussed his qualifications, and talked about his understanding of workplace equity. I've learned a lot from watching what happened, he told me. I was complicit in a system I didn't fully understand, and I'm committed to doing better. I hired him. Not out of magnanimity, but because talent deserves opportunity when it comes with accountability and growth. His first assignment was helping develop our parental leave policy, which is now among the most generous in the industry. Some people call my story inspiring. Others call it lucky. I think it's neither. It's simply what happens when preparation meets determination. When injustice faces someone who refuses to accept it, the building is impressive. Yes, the business success is validating. But the real victory is more personal. Every morning, I walk into this building holding my daughter's hand, and I show her that her mother doesn't just accept the world as it is, she remakes it into what it should be. Someday, I hope she won't need to fight these battles. But if she does, she'll know it can be done. She'll know because she watched me do it. That's worth more than any building. And that's how one woman's nightmare turned into an empire. These stories of workplace justice aren't just entertaining, they're essential reminders that standing up for yourself matters, even when it seems impossible. If you've faced workplace discrimination or know someone who has, remember that you're not alone, and there are paths forward that you might not yet imagine. If you enjoyed this story of ultimate workplace redemption, make sure to hit that subscribe button to join our Dismissal Diaries community. Drop a comment below, sharing your thoughts or your own workplace stories. I read every single one. And if you know someone who needs to hear this message of resilience and justice, share this video with them. Thanks for watching. And remember, sometimes getting fired isn't the end of your story, it's just the beginning of a better one.